Hi friends, welcome to another episode of In This Season, where we're all about growing
and glowing
in each season. So in this episode, we're talking about breakups and walking away. And I think it's a really important episode because I think having these conversations helps us create a culture of healthy relationships and also encourages people to seek out healthy connections with other people.
That's very true.
Yeah.
There's power in representation.
There's power in representation, yeah.
And I think knowing that you're not the only one who's going through it and that your experience is not only unique to you, gives you some sense of comfort but also courage to get up and do what you need to do for yourself.
Strength in numbers, in numbers, friends. And I think that's interesting because it seems like we are the first people to. Someone recently said that how come there's so much divorce these days, and I'm like, but you do realize that divorce or breakups or ended, whatever it is not happening for the first time. They've been runaway brides since the beginning of time. They've been broken marriages since the beginning of times. Relationships end, human relationships end, be it friendships, be it romantic relationships, be it friendship relations. I mean, even family relationships. It's been happening since the beginning of time. But as you said, representation matters. It's not something that we talk about because the ending of a relationship has always carried a connotation of shame, especially for the person who's left. So because of the shame that we carry, we don't talk about it. And I'm just, we need to take that shame away because if someone does you wrong, it's not your fault.
Be ashamed. It's them.
Exactly, 100%. It's not you who has done it.
Yeah, but I also think that the reason why there is a shame that is attached to it is because I think traditionally, usually it would be the men who would outrightly show, like maybe leave or things like that, because the women have been socialized to stay, to kuguma, to, because of that, I think, and then the idea that the women are the ones who make relationships work, and that men just come and, that we are the ones who carry the heavy lifting. So if a relationship, especially an intimate relationship, the shame usually is attached more to the woman because you failed to do the things you need to do to please the man, to make the man stay, because it was always us doing so that the man stays. It's never that the man also is doing so that the woman stays. It was never a thing of it takes two to make this thing work. It was always omkazi.
You're the glue.
Yeah, you're the glue that holds the family together.
The burden of the relationship has always been on the woman. And do you think the fact that it was the men walking away, do you think that had something to do with means?
Of course.
Because for a long time, the women were not working, so you are taken from your father's home, taken because you are literally picked from there and brought into this home. You probably don't have financial capacity, whatever. And so you are leaving and going where? Part of marriage, whatever, is they tell you we're giving away your bed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it was a one way.
Yes. So you're going, you must make it work. There was no coming back. And I remember my grandmother telling me of her story. She got married at 13. She was Msoga, living all the way in her village, I think it was Namutumba, to come to Uganda. That time there was no, like you're taking a journey of days to come to get married, a 13-year-old. Tell me, if this man is a horrible man, where are you going to go?
Nowhere.
So it was an issue of the women at that time didn't have the capability or the privilege to be able to live, and they didn't choose their partners. We in this age are living the dreams of our grandparents, especially the women, because we're able to choose our partners and we're able to walk away if it's not working, because one, we have the privilege of means, but also the privilege of information. Like we know what to do, when to do, who to go to, like if you want a divorce, how you there's a little bit more information now.
I think it's important to say a little bit because I still feel like there's still not nearly enough information.
True.
So if there's someone out there who's struggling with some sort of toxic relationship or it's just not working and they want to leave, I don't think that there's nearly enough representation. I don't think that there's nearly enough hand holding which is very sad.
Yeah,
very sad
and
to
I
see.
think that there is still shame and stigma that is attached, especially to women. Because I don't know, I have male friends who have had failed relationships, but it's a badge of honor for them. But for most of us, it's a thing of, I failed.
Yeah.
I should have done more. Maybe I didn't do enough, you know. So there is still a shame and stigma is attached to failed relationships.
That's actually very true. You never hear anyone introducing a man as he's a divorced man.
It's quite rare.
Very, very rare.
It's quite rare.
But for a woman, it's your title.
She left her marriage.
It's your title.
Yeah.
But she's divorced.
Yeah, but she's divorced.
But she has 2 kids. You
But you never
rarely
hear for a
hear
man.
that coming
Yeah,
first for a man.
yeah.
They'll tell you, oh,
He's
he
a
does
good
this
man,
job.
He has this amount
He's a
of
good
money.
man.
Even if he has kids, it's not a thing they will front.
No, not at all.
Because it's expected, it's accepted for men. But for us, it's like, wait, how dare you not? Wait,
It's like a bat for you,
Yeah.
but she is.
Yeah.
It's never a bat for
No,
men.
it isn't.
A man is just a man.
He's just a man.
He could be on his
Yeah.
4th marriage. It will just be,
It's just a man.
you know. So has there been a time when you have walked away from a bad relationship?
Yes.
What happened if you don't?
No, I mean, I've been open about it. I mean, as we say between us always, that there's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun. Every single thing you're experiencing for
Has
the
been
first time has been
experienced.
experienced.
Yeah.
Actually, at that particular time when you're experiencing
Exactly.
it, there are probably millions of women worldwide
Yeah. And we are
experiencing
here
the
to
exact
just
same
to
thing.
deconstruct the fact that shame is just a social construct.
Yeah.
That it's attached to things that say, oh, because people say it's shameful, then it is shameful.
Yeah.
But if you say it is not shameful,
No, you choose.
You choose.
You choose to feel that
so personally,
shame.
I don't have any shame around my failed engagement. I called it off. It was we had been friends for a long time. For over 10 years, I'd known him. I had seen some red flags before we started dating, and I'd said, you know what, I don't want to do it. But then we reconnected. I think when I was 27, turning 28, and I think at that time I was ready to date. So I got into the relationship with the idea that probably he has changed, you know, and I raised the issue. I said, no, I'm not comfortable with, it was financial impropriety and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not quite, you know, people this couple have money, but where they get it from is a whole different issue, you know. So for me, my ethics didn't quite sit well with me. And I raised it and I made it clear to him. And he said, no, I'm a changed person. That's a different, that's a life in the back. It's no longer my reality.
Old story.
Yeah. And, you know, and when I look back, I was naive. I was naive to accept.
No, you really wanted to believe it.
Yeah, I really wanted to believe it. And I saw signs along the way, you know, a lot of, you know, living the flashy life and that life that does not match to what you're saying you're doing really should have raised a flag for someone who was like myself. But I think I really wanted to believe what he had told me, and I chose to believe him and close my eyes to the flag that I was saying. Until at some week, so we got engaged, and at some point, I couldn't anymore. It had just, I think God in his grace and mercy pursued me and showed that, look, you are walking down a dangerous road, and I don't want you to go down that road. He really brought people, like, I can assure you, I was bombarded with information, left, right. It's like, you know how God can bring people to just tell you, this is it. And I, if I had ignored it, I would have been stupid, because it was black and white in front of me.
I think that would mean that I wear the thing of stupid, because I saw the red. Anyway, go on.
So
I'll
personally,
get into it.
as I saw it, and I was like, what? I honestly can't do this. I can't. I had a ring on my finger. I was wearing his ring. You know, like I had even gotten my gown, made a down payment, a champagne. Woo! Like I had my themes, everything. Well, already the video I do new kuchala, like I think a week before I called off the engagement. I said, it's on cutting it.
That was really, really, really brave.
You know, it's on cutting it. And I called it off by phone. I called him and I said, no, it's not working.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I couldn't face him because he's a charmer. Like I would have charmed me again and I would have forgiven him, you know?
Still all manners of brave, because when I called off that big relationship, I was just like, I should have known, like you said. I saw the red flags. The first red flag was that I used to see him commenting on random women's those days it was Facebook, and he would be there commenting on and those days I don't know if Facebook is still that way. I'm not on Facebook. I don't use it, but back then if you typed in someone's name, it would show you all the recent comments they've made, and it was always on women's. But there was this particular girl that he kept commenting on often,
on her post.
Right? And then I realized that there must be something there, so I kept an eye on her profile, and then it turned out that was his ex-girlfriend. Later on, I realized it was actually his ex-fiance and whatever, and so we were getting serious. Know about this? No, I did. I knew they had been together. I didn't know but he was currently still commenting on her pictures and things, and it was giving it was and how there's a way that inner man, that inner spirit tells you. And so, because how is it that of all the women whose pictures he was constantly commenting on, how did I know that it was her? So I kept an eye on her profile for a while, and this time she posted a picture of him, but it wasn't, the head was cut off. But you know how you know your person. You know your person. So I remember coming home he was in the UK at the time, and we planned to come to Uganda at the time. So I came back, he came back. I think I came back a few weeks before, and we had a mutual friend. So I was speaking to this mutual friend of ours, and she told me that the ex-girlfriend told her that she's going to fight for the man when he comes. Now, women, if you're ever in a position where he has to choose between you and someone else, remove yourself from that equation, because that is absolute clownery. But guess what this clown did? I decided to fight. You are going to fight and I was going to fight till the end. So I fought. I did, and do you know what? Anyway, I was here for a week. He was finished with his master's at the time. So I was still second year. No, I came. I said I am going to So we had the best week, whatever, and then I went back to South Africa. I went back to school, and while I was out there, I got information that he had given me a tablet. His tablet, I think he had used it for a few days or whatever, but he gave it to me, and he wasn't logged out of his
emails or whatever.
So in his inbox, I happened to see a conversation between him and his cousin, saying that, well, they are both in the we'll see which one wins. Can you imagine?
Wins?
And I saw that. I saw the message. I saw him saying that, because she asked him, so who's it going to be, blah, blah, blah. And he said, they're both in the running, but let's see how it goes. And that was a red flag enough, guys. I did not walk away. I decided that I never lose. I don't lose at anything.
So was it a case of your pride?
Young stupidity. Let's put it that way. Ego. Stupidity.
Of like, how dare he?
What?
I have to show this guy.
Someone else, no chance. So I went in there, my A game, and I married the man, and
you won, essentially.
I won, but did I win really?
You won with Zibu.
The other girl. I remember at some point speaking to, you guys, I keep saying how you don't fight for men, all of these things, but I understand the emotions that make you do that, right? Because I remember picking up the phone once when I heard from this other friend that she still wanted him. I picked up the phone and I called her and I introduced myself. I said, hi, this is Zereda. Yes, I heard. Please not, guys. Please don't judge me. I was 21 years old.
No, they can judge us. I mean, which
person
hasn't
we've
done
all been there. We've all been there. Adam's
if
children.
If all of us are honest, no one under the sun has sons of Adam, sons of Anarchy.
Adam's children.
We will have you clowning. Please, I beg.
Anywho, so I picked up the phone, called her, woman to woman, and I said, hi, I'm Zereda. I heard that you were dating so and so, blah, blah, blah. And she told me, I am done with him. I want nothing, to do with him. If you want him, take him.
Good.
But he was still commenting on the thing, so I didn't believe her. So in my mind, we were in a boxing ring and I was going to win gold. And so I took the prize home and...
Problematic prize?
Yeah, it was a prize and it was not a prize. And I did, like you, I saw the red flags. It wasn't the only one. Another red flag I saw is he wasn't nice to his siblings.
What do you mean?
He wasn't. I remember being at his house once and his little siblings had come from university, I think. And we were in the house and they were, I think, outside. They had some friends over. And he said to one of them, go make me tea. But there was even a hand gesture. And it didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
You know?
Was this the first time you were seeing him?
With the siblings,
with the
yes.
siblings, okay.
Yes. And it didn't sit well with me. And so we went into the bedroom and then we were watching a movie, whatever. Then we came out and this, I won't say a child because she was about my age, I think. But he was like maybe
Older.
7 years older.
Yeah.
And he came out and he said, you didn't make the tea. And he was really
agitated. Yeah?
I was really bothered because,
this
first
is
of all,
sister.
yes.
Then all you making tea.
I'm like, maybe people's families are different, but there's no way any sibling of mine, even if they were 30 years older than me, would talk to me
and
like
even
that.
Even if she's not made tea, there's a way to speak to her.
Exactly.
And tell her, look, I'm disappointed. I thought you made me tea, but you haven't.
No, listen, for me, already I had a problem with the fact that he was ordering her to make her tea, to make him tea.
Yeah.
Because in my family, even a sibling 20 years older than me could not ask me to make them tea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or would not order me to make them tea. That's one. And then two, the tone and the anger when she didn't do it. But you know, when you're young, you don't know what red flags are. Red.
Or even if,
and how they can manifest.
Yeah, I think usually what happens is like it's them.
Yes.
But me, I'm special.
Yes. So that I saw, that was the one time I saw that like twice. Then there's a time we went away together. We went for like a church assembly in Seta. And it was me and his brother. Me, him, his friend who was his best man and some of his brothers. Yeah. And then at lunchtime, he said to me, we had brought food, right? And then he said to me, serve us, you're the woman with us. Serve us, you are the woman with us. I still have those words written in a journal because when I went home, I was so perturbed, right? I dismissed it. I just laughed it off and said, hey, no.
Service.
And then I didn't.
For me, it's not even the service. It's you're the woman.
That was the statement. That was 2014. 9 years later, I still remember the exact words. Serve us, you're the woman with us.
Women?
I laughed it off. I didn't do it. I laughed it off, but the implication was noted, right? But again, when you're young, you don't know how these things are going to show up, how, you know? But already, those should have been signs to me of what kind of arrangement we're going to live in. But no, we proceeded. I'm sure you can all guess how that went.
So how do you work out?
Do you know what? The last straw was my father's funeral.
Oh dear.
Yeah. During that process, he behaved really, really, really badly. And at that point, I was just thinking, if this is how you're going to act, on the day that we buried, we came back home to my parents' home. Yeah. And we sat, whatever, and then when he was going, he told me, let's go home. But I didn't want to go, obviously.
Yeah, because you're still mourning and you're with the family.
Yeah, and you know, when you're home, it's different. I just needed, if you've lost someone close to you, you know what this is like.
You need to feel.
Yes, and you need to be in that environment where people are coming to comfort you and whatever. And I knew it wasn't going to be the same if I went back home. Because at home I'm a wife. I need to cook. I need to, exactly. And I wasn't, it was still all too much. Yeah. And so I said, no, let me stay today. And he was really not impressed with me and whatever. And so, so I negotiated and said, let me stay just one day. And so he left grudgingly, right? Fortunately, he was with his brother. He left grudgingly. And Then I said, let me stay. I asked for 2 days because I knew on the weekend he was going up country for work.
Yeah, so you could.
So in my mind, I was going to stay 2 days.
And then the weekend.
Then I'll go back. Yes, then I'll come back for the week because he was going for a week. Then I'd go back to him for the weekend because the next week he was going to be traveling for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Coming back at the weekend and then going again. So in my mind, I knew I had 3 weeks, but I'd be going back on the weekend. Yeah. So he left that day. The next day, I tried to call him. He refused to answer. He refused to pick up the phone. Okay. So at first, I thought he just didn't have his phone. I gave it a bit of time. I called again.
He refused
no answer. Then I called again. Then he sent me a message and said, he had sent me a message saying he thought he had chickenpox or measles or something like that. And I said, sorry, please go to the doctor, blah, blah, blah. But then he wouldn't answer the phone. I was desperately calling all day, like just trying to figure out what is happening. Yeah. And then he sent me a message, sick husband, grieving mother, which is more important. And then I was just thinking, first of all, in that message, he had invalidated my loss. Yeah. Right? So it was your mother who had only her who had lost.
You hadn't lost your father?
No, I hadn't lost anyone. Yeah. I was just at home because of my grieving mother, and I was just like, whatever. So
he was very dismissive as a person.
You don't even know the half of it. So yeah, in that whole process, I remember going home to pick some clothes, and he didn't talk to me, by the way. Through all of that, yes, he was punishing me for staying home, for a very valid reason, by the way. And then one time he sent me a message and told me that his family had come to condole with me at my marital home. I said, your family came
to. Why would they come to condole to at your marital home? You know where your mother was
just
staying.
No. Anyway, so during that process, I realized that this is just one of my close family members. This is the first death. There are so many others, and this is not the kind of person that I want to be with. So for me, by the day we buried, I knew that it was it. It was done. I fought a little bit longer for maybe a couple of weeks, but
So how did you tell him that we're done? Did you pack and leave?
So when my sister was going back after that whole process of burying, maybe about 3 weeks later, maybe 2-3 weeks later, she was going back to Europe. Yeah. And so we went out, my brother, my sister, and I for dinner. She was leaving the next day. And so I went after work. I sent him a message and said, I've gone out with my siblings, blah, blah, blah. And then at 11 p.m. he sent me a text message and said, if you're not back in 15 minutes, don't come back. I've never gone back.
Can you? Honestly?
Yeah. And I know that on his end it was a threat.
Yeah, of course, because he thought you
after that the messaging was different and all of it. But when the Muganda says okusindika sitamye.
And it was quite manipulative right from the start. Because he was like he's like dangling himself over you because he knew how hard you had fought to get him. He's like, now I'm the prize. Now let me show you.
Yeah.
That was kudos, babe.
Wow, it was the ghetto.
Kudos.
The absolute ghetto.
Kudos. Yeah. No, that honestly takes courage to walk away from such a situation where families are involved, where you have invested a lot, especially how much you had gone out of your way, going to people,
Yeah, but I would say that if you're going to walk away from something, it's important for you to know that you've done your all.
Yeah.
I'll tell you for a fact that by the time I walked away from that marriage, I knew I had done everything.
And there was nothing that could take you back. There's no one
there was nothing.
Nothing.
I even said to him that even if you date my best friend,
I'm cool.
Yeah,
because I gave it my
the next person who takes you deserves you. Like I was done like that. And it comes from a very deep place for a woman to say you can date their best friend.
Yeah. And I think it's also nice that it came from that deep place, because then no amount of maybe discomfort or cancelling family meetings would have cajoled you into going back. Because what happens sometimes when women leave, it's like marriages, they will be family meetings, gezako, trying to say, oh, you'll be ashamed, but because you had given it your all and
look, we did all of that.
There was nothing.
That can
we
did the counseling. We did
And that's
you know,
good.
which I
gave it your all.
everything,
Yeah.
and
poured
there was nothing there.
Yeah, there was nothing more left to pour. Wow.
Although in hindsight, I mean, I do not regret anything about that marriage. I think it was a necessary experience. I think that I am better for knowing how bad it can get.
Exactly.
I'm better for knowing that, first of all, I was right. My gut was right.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew it. I went way ahead with it. So now I know not to ignore my gut. I know that I'm not in a place where I feel like if I hadn't gotten married when I did, maybe now I would be really wanting, you know, really feeling like I'm missing something because, you know what I mean? But because I did it, it's not a box I need to tick
anymore.
off.
Exactly.
I do want a companion. I do want to be partnered. I do want a family,
but for the right reasons.
And I want it to be a person who makes my life better.
Yeah.
Not anyone will
and
do.
you know, when you say that, I feel like that's the same way I feel. Like, because I went through the engagement and the idea of getting married, and now it's not a case of tick box of like, I know how it feels for a guy to propose. I know how it feels for a guy to take you out and say, will you be my everything and will you be my all and all. Like, you know, I've been there. You know, so now it's not a case
it's going to take more.
Yeah, it's going to take more. It's not just a case of, oh, I'm at that age where I need to be married, so let's tick the box and make the Bakade happy, make everyone today made it, and then I go and cry.
Listen, when you're crying in that bed, you're there.
Solos,
Your mother's not there with you. The community, all of them, as they dance at your wedding, they're not there with you in that bed. Oh my gosh.
They're only a phone call away. And you know,
and there's no worse pain.
There's no worse pain.
There is no worse pain.
Do you know the feeling of feeling trapped and helpless?
Oh my gosh.
You know, and for me, it was just an engagement. I can't imagine for you, because I remember the days when I was agonizing over calling it off. And there's just such a sense of heaviness.
Oh my God.
And
now that's your everyday life.
And then I get to live that every day.
The loneliness that you are feeling while alone, it does not compare to the pain of the loneliness in a loveless marriage.
It's a lot.
It's a fate worse than death, in my opinion. You'd rather die.
On your own, honestly. Yeah, that's true.
So I hope that is consolation to someone out there who thinks that anything will do. Not anything will do.
Not anything will do. Because no matter how much you try to make it work, if the shoe doesn't fit, it's not fitting.
If the shoe does not fit, it's not fitting.
It's not fitting. You can, when you get in, you can do it, but at the end of the day,
if it's not it, it's not it.
It's not it.
So why do you think there's stigma attached to ending relationships?
I think one, for me, I feel like we've been socialized so much by the movies, and they don't show us. The movies always show us a happy ending. So all of us are socialized to believe in the happy ending. And at no one time do you ever see in the movie the couple that the happy couple ending the movie when they've gone their separate ways. Those movies never sell. Because I think natural life is so hard, we like the fairy ending.
Yeah, it gives us something to believe in.
So we move with that reality, with that idea into real life, and we think that's how life is. And also, I feel like there's a stigma to ending relationships for women also, because of the way society has been organized. You know, we are supposed to be completed by men. We're supposed to be defined by men. We're supposed to be, you know, appendages. So now when you end a relationship and you say, I've cut off that appendage that is a man, then they're like, how dare you? Wait at you. Who do you think you are? And of course, the shame is like a weapon to show others what will happen to you. So it's like they're cracking the whip. Like, see what happened to Zerida? You dare try it. You know, so once one person is shamed, it means that the others who are witnessing it will not like a deterrent. However, it's for the benefit of some people, but for the detriment of the women.
That's so true. They use it as a threat. I remember every time my ex would behave badly, he would always point out. He used to pointedly point out women who were, you know, older and unmarried. And do you know what older was at that time? 28, 27.
We are now the older women they're pointing to.
You know, or divorced now, who's going to marry her, whatever. You know what I mean? Those kinds of messaging. And it was like a threat. You know what I mean?
In case
that's what you're considering.
Exactly. It reinforces the idea that shit, I must stay here. I must endure because I do not want to be like those people.
It really is. And I remember one time feeling like I would rather, whatever is out there, I would rather take my chances with it.
Yeah.
I did, and let me not lie, it is a very difficult decision.
Honestly, I applaud.
People always say, make it seem like divorce is the easy way out.
It's not easy.
There's nothing easy about divorce, even when it's from somebody you
don't like,
despise. There is nothing easy about divorce.
No. And when the Bible says ugly, God hates divorce, it's because of this, the pain.
It's ugly, it's painful. Let me tell you, nobody walked down the aisle
wanting for it to
end.
No. Yeah.
In that moment, we have decided that we're going to give this thing our all. This is my forever person. Of course, you have no idea what lays on the other side.
Yeah.
You can't read the other person's heart. It's hope, 100%. And your hopes and dreams being shattered is painful in whatever shape or form.
And for me, and I think that also even hurt me the most were the plans we had together.
Yeah.
You know, we are going to do this together at this time. And now I felt like my life, the carpet had been pulled out. Like, I don't know what to do now. Because all my plans, 5 years, involved him. I'm like, now what am I going to do? What do I start? Like, you know, the confusion. It's honestly...
And the shame. I remember feeling so ashamed the first time. Things fell apart very quickly. Fortunately for me, they were never happy moments. It was not a happy marriage from day one. Right from the wedding day. The wedding day was terrible. There was not a happy moment. So that made it a bit easier for me in the end, because there were no happy moments to cling on. Right? But I remember feeling so much shame and pain, wondering what I did to deserve this situation. And while in my mind it was a battle between, do I hide?
Do I pretend?
Or do I be open?
Yeah.
And I realized that the more I hid, the harder it's like nailing coffins. I mean, nails onto my own coffin, nailing my own coffin shut. And I realized that this shame was not mine to carry.
No, it wasn't.
Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't.
And in hindsight, I mean, I was 23, 24 years old.
Yeah, you were bold, courageous.
But I think what made it easy for me is I have my oldest sister who had just gotten out of a 10-year marriage.
Yeah.
And we had, for me, seeing what had happened with them, I was just like, another person's bad behavior is not mine to hide. And it's not mine to hide.
Yeah.
If you want me to talk nicely about you, behave well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. And so I shed the shame of that bad marriage. I mean, every now and then I would ask myself, I mean, you'd go to a wedding and you'd see a happy couple and I would feel a big fat lump in my throat, in my heart, and I'd be wondering, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And you know that moment when they're saying nice things to each other, and I would be crying, and it would look like you're crying.
Tears of joy.
But it was like someone was twisting a knife in my heart, saying, what did I do wrong to be in this? Oh my gosh. I don't wish it on anyone.
But do you see what the power of representation did for you? The power of having someone who had walked the journey ahead of you gave you that courage to redefine that journey for yourself.
And I've actually never told her. I've never told my big sister this, but her doing it.
Exactly.
I just knew in my heart of hearts that I didn't have 10 years.
Exactly. No,
I didn't have 10 years.
You didn't even want to go 10 years.
I didn't have them, because this marriage was terrible from day one.
So imagine 10 years, you would have just killed each other.
Yeah. It was just one of those. So I'm so representation. And because of that, I decided that my story was not going to die with me.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Because someone else experiencing the same thing should know that they're not.
Yeah. And the reason, and in the beginning you were saying why are people saying that there is more divorce now, it's because women are speaking up.
For the first time, we are talking
women are
about
speaking up. Women are owning their stories. They're refusing to be shamed for being divorced, for being single mothers, for being single, for whatever, for not having kids, for whatever it is. Women are saying enough is enough. They're sharing their stories publicly, be it in a small gathering, on social media, in churches. Like, women are saying, look, this is it. So now people are saying, oh, there's so much divorce now. Oh my God. It's because now women have voices. Some of us at least, not everyone of course, but some women now have voices, and we are voicing it and saying, look, it happened to me. Oh, it happened to you too. Oh, it happened to you too. Before you know it, we have voices of like 20 of us, and now we're becoming louder and louder. Amazing.
It's amazing. It really, really is. Amazing. So we're so glad that we have the space and the courage to just speak about some of these things. So, do you think that you approach dating differently after ending a bad relationship?
I do, and I think that one of the things we don't talk about after ending a bad relationship is the self-doubt that comes with it, because you've made a bad choice before. You're more cautious, thinking, I don't want to make another bad choice. And then I remember when I was in therapy, a few years after, my therapist started working with me on that, learning to trust my own choices. That if just because I made one bad choice doesn't mean all the choices I make about men are bad. That was just one bad choice.
That's actually a really important one.
All that, so I had to work on trusting my own choices of men and not having to seek validation or approval from other people. What do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy? No. What do I think?
All the answers are in there, in you.
Exactly, in me. So yeah, I think that that was one of the ways I became more cautious with approaching dating. But also I realized that it showed me that I'm actually an amazing human being. I am a prize, like I'm a catch, so it gave me a certain sense of self-confidence that if I could walk away from that, there is nothing now that if it's not working, I'm out. So not like seguia, but my bullshit meter is quite low. So I know now, I'm like, you know what, I can't stand there, I'm out. So I feel like it helped me refine my standards in terms of what I'm looking for and what I want in a partner. So yeah.
I get you. I do feel that after that relationship, I feel like I really got into myself. I did have a lot of trauma from it. It was a while before I got into another serious relationship. And it was only in that serious relationship that I realized how much trauma I carried from. I had been in therapy. I had done so much, talking and all these things, but I didn't realize how much fear I had. Fear mostly of some of these cycles repeating themselves. I was hyper aware.
Yes, exactly.
Of certain things, and for a long time I couldn't tell which one was my intuition and which one was your trauma.
That's true.
So learning to separate those two things is my biggest flex. Right now, to say that I am fully healed, fully, healed and ready to, that's my biggest flex, because some of the things that happened in that marriage.
No, but I think that one of the things that we both, I think, are highlighting is the importance of dealing with our own trauma from past relationships.
Because if you don't heal, there's a saying that says, if you don't heal from what cut you, you're going to bleed on people who didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I remember, for me, as you said, you were hyper aware. And like when I went into the dating pool again, like any small, I was very, 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 and I was like, but that's not how you can operate. You need to relax.
It feels like you have your running shoes on all that time.
Anytime, any small thing.
Any day now.
So you're right. It's and I think the power of having that healing space to help with a profession to help you navigate that really is a big privilege.
Yes, it is. It is a big privilege. It is a big privilege. Yeah. It doesn't come easy.
No.
It doesn't come cheap.
Doesn't come
cheap. Even if you don't mean even if not just financially, it means in terms of emotional time. You really exert yourself and go to deep places, and
come out sniffing and tears, and so it's a process.
So what advice would you give to someone who's struggling to end a bad relationship?
It's, I don't know, like, one, I really send you prayers. Because I think that's where really for me it started. Just asking God, like, show me, So I feel like starting from a place of prayer is really the best. if you are Christian like myself, just going to God and saying, God, I'm hurting. God, this is failing, and I don't know what to do, because I feel like God orchestrates and speaks to us in ways, like God really spoke in many ways for me, and it became so clear. But also, I think that talking to someone that you trust. I really don't like talking to family members because you're going to bias and blah, blah, but if you can afford talking to a therapist to help you know what do you want to do, because the thing is, you can walk out quickly and then they'll convince you and you come back, and it becomes
a game, a joke,
like you're going, you're coming, you're going, you're coming, you're going. So talk to someone professional about what you're feeling, what you're going through, your thought process, what, to help you come to terms with that decision you want to make, because deep down you know it.
That's the thing.
You know what you want to do. So whatever it is that you want to do, you know it. It's the courage for it to come up, to rise from deep inside to the top, and then manifest into your actions. So I think that talk to someone professional who can hold your hand through it. If possible, do not involve friends, don't involve family, because we are all biased. We all have. If you came to me, I have my idea of how life should be. So I'm going to talk to you from that lens. I'm like, try and stay, because that's what I would want to do. If you talk to someone professional who's a neutral party, they'll help you they'll guide you through your processes. And I feel like it will help you to start the journey of either living or staying or living with, like, whatever it is that you want to do. But all I can say is that there's no magic. There is no easy fix, but at the end of the day, they're not helpless. I want to say that you're not helpless. You have the power, because sometimes when you're in a situation that is so abusive or whatever it is, it makes you feel powerless. But you're not powerless. You are powerful, and you know what you want to do.
That's the most important part. I feel
Let no one gaslight you. You know what you want to do.
Because my advice would definitely be to listen to yourself. None of us can give you the answers that you're looking for. Because like Priscilla said, any one of us that you approach, even if it's like your mom, whatever, we give you advice from our experience, from our perspective, and a lot of the time also based off fear. You know what I mean? But the answers that you're looking for, you're the only one in that relationship. You're the only one experiencing it the way you experience it, because I know from experience that a lot of the time when we tell stories about some of the things we've been through, we edit.
Of course.
Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not. I know every now and then I remember certain things that happened that I had forgotten about, and I'm sure I've never told anyone about some of these things. Sometimes it's not intentional.
But also
it's just
the trauma you're still doing.
Yes, your brain has a way of protecting you, so no one ever has the full picture, except, like Priscilla said, a professional, because they've dealt with so many people, and they are just trained in that way to give you an unbiased, view. It's like theirs is a lens looking from up, giving you a torch into all of these things, and they will lay out for you so many different options, help you plan out, because it's not just about ending the relationship, it's also about what next, what happens next.
And
there's so much that you need
what
to.
What next is what even scares us the most.
But it's not the end. It doesn't mean that it's impossible. Just because something is difficult doesn't mean that it's impossible. But also, if you decide that the best thing for you is to stay, then that's okay too. That is your reality. We don't all have the exact same reality, but still, speaking to a professional would help you, equip you with the tools to cope, if that is what the only option available to you. We can't sit here and say walking away is the only option for everybody. We know that would come from a point of privilege. We know that not everybody has that privilege of having somewhere to go or having somewhere to start from.
Even having people supportive.
Yes. So in a situation like that, it would be best to get tools to figure out how you can cope in that bad situation, because it still doesn't mean that it is the absolute end.
No, it is not. And I think that we live in a time where it's not 100% destigmatized, but there is effort to destigmatize therapy. And you don't have to tell your partner to go with you, because sometimes it's your own journey. So if you're in such a situation, I highly recommend to reach out to a professional. And because all of us will give you advice based on our own fears, as Zeri has said. We'll project, if I've grown up maybe in a family where I didn't have a father, I would like, your kids, how will they, but yet you know best what works for you. So
And for the record, for the ones whose argument is your kids, children would benefit better from 2 happy parents than 2 miserable parents in the same house. So if that is your fear, I would say your children will be so much better off with 2 happy parents living apart than 2 toxic, hateful parents living together.
That's true. And life as an unpartnered person is not entirely miserable.
It really isn't.
It isn't miserable.
You'll be fine on your own. It's not the worst. Starting over is not the worst thing.
It's not.
You can start from scratch, from the bottom. It happens. I can be a poster child for that. I remember,
you are.
as I said, I left with the clothes I was wearing that day. Everything of mine stayed in that house.
Can you imagine?
I had to buy.
Go back for my bags and shoes.
I did later on, but I didn't even use them. I mean, if things have been unused for 3 years, I went back for them like 3 years later. Just because there are particular things that I really wanted in that house. These things that my father had given me, and I wanted them back. But all those small things, as I took them, I threw them out. I threw them away. So I literally had to rebuy everything from underwear to bras to, you know what I mean? I remember going on holiday with my aunties. We went to Nairobi that first Easter, and I had no party clothes. I had nothing, because the first clothes that I bought, I have to remember I was starting from scratch. The only clothes I had were the ones I was wearing. So I had to buy things afresh, and the first thing that I bought were work stuff, because I was working, and because I'm a teacher, really comfortable. Like I usually work in like leggings, things that I can move about in. So we planned a girls' weekend in Nairobi, and I had no party clothes, you guys.
Oh my God! So you had to go shopping.
And you know how, I don't know, shopping in Kampala has improved now. This is 2022. That was 2017. I didn't know where to go. I remember trying those shops at some of the malls, and all of them had clothes for certain sizes and whatever. And it was just a mess. We didn't have the privilege of Instagram shops back then. We didn't, like, local shopping was just a mess back then. And it was very, very humbling, because I had all my nice clothes, all my nice shoes stuck in someone's house.
To your mom's
house. I did.
So literally you were starting from scratch.
0.
Wow.
But when you look at me now, can you tell? No. So it is possible.
Amazing. No, honestly, courage, like you did it. And I honestly kudos.
And I would do it again and again and again. And if I had to give you advice, I would say it is not worth it.
No. It
is not worth it.
Wow. You did well, babe. I'm so proud of you.
So there's so much that we can say to on broken relationships and walking away, but we'll stop here for today. Do you have any closing anything?
I think personally I would just like to encourage someone out there who is feeling stuck in a relationship that is not working, and whether it's a marriage or a dating relationship or whatever, and I would like to reinforce the fact that you are not powerless. You have power within you to actually make that decision that serves you best. So do not feel like you're trapped. Seek help. There's lots of resources. Probably we'll share some in the description box. You are not alone.
You are not alone.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you found this episode helpful. Please like, please subscribe, and please share with someone who might benefit from this conversation.
Ciao.